The line is taking shape in the Saudi Arabian desert. What was once dismissed as a futuristic rendering is now unmistakably real. So what exactly has Saudi Arabia built so far? And what does it mean for the future of this $8 trillion project? Looking closely at the desert today, you'll see the city beginning to take shape. A trench more than a kilometer wide has been carved into the sand. This trench forms the foundation where the line's mirrored walls are supposed to rise. Heavy machinery works non-stop, with trucks carrying prefabricated concrete panels and steel supports. From satellite imagery, we can see staging yards sprawling like temporary cities, rows of pipes, and massive stockpiles of building materials. Here, you can see work camps, lit at night by floodlights, dot the landscape, filled with thousands of workers, engineers, and planners. In some areas, skeletal vertical cores are visible, the earliest outlines of what eventually may become habitable structures. While these are currently very far from the mirrored walls, they are proof that Saudi Arabia is mobilizing its resources at a scale few believed were possible. For supporters of the project, these images are validation. The line is not a publicity stunt. Billions of dollars are actually being poured into construction, and it is visibly accelerating. But for critics, it raises more questions than answers. Because what's being built today is a fraction of what was originally promised. When the line was first unveiled in January 2021, it was marketed as a once-in-a-generation revolution in how humans live. Instead of sprawling suburbs and endless highways, the line would condense all of city life into a single straight line. Inside those walls, 9 million residents would live stacked vertically. Apartments, offices, schools, and hospitals all layered inside the city. An ultra-fast underground transit system was designed to carry people from end to end in just 20 minutes. The line was more than architecture, it was pitched as philosophy. If humanity keeps expanding outward, consuming more land and more energy, sprawl will eventually devour the planet. But if cities are built upward and contained, the footprint can shrink dramatically. But by 2024, reality came into play. Reports revealed that instead of the 170-kilometer span, the first phase of the line would be just 2.4 kilometers long and be completed by 2030. This was less than 2% of the original ambition. The financial numbers explain why. Building the entire Neom region, the umbrella project that includes the line, an industrial port, and luxury resorts, could cost over $8 trillion. That's more than the GDP of Japan and nearly double Germany's. Even with Saudi Arabia's oil wealth, this is an astonishing figure. Scaling back was a way to keep momentum alive while lowering the immediate cost. But it also raised the stakes, because now the entire reputation of Vision 2030 rests on whether this pilot zone can even prove the concept. For Saudi Arabia, however, the project is existential. Vision 2030 is designed to prepare the kingdom for a post-oil future. The line is its most visible symbol, proof that Saudi Arabia can transform itself into a high-tech environment. For Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, abandoning the project would mean admitting defeat. That political will means construction will continue, no matter the criticism.
They say in a lot of projects that happen in Saudi Arabia, it can be done. This is very ambitious. They can keep saying that, and we can keep proving them wrong.
The line is only one piece of a larger gamble. Vision 2030 isn't about a single futuristic city, but a complete transformation of Saudi Arabia. Alongside the line, there are other projects tied to Vision 2030 that are arguably just as insane. Oxagon, a massive floating industrial port, Trojena, a mountain resort designed for skiing and adventure tourism, and Sindala, a luxury island on the Red Sea, pitched to rival the Maldives. Each of these ventures are meant to show the world that Saudi Arabia can transform its economy, breaking free from its dependence on oil. But what's especially telling about these projects is that Saudi Arabia has already begun redirecting funding and resources away from the line and toward these other Neom projects. Reports suggest that Oxagon and Trojena are moving ahead faster, with construction milestones and contracts being prioritized, while the line's timeline quietly stretches farther into the future. For critics, this looks like an admission that the full 170-kilometer city may never materialize, and that Saudi Arabia is hedging bets by showcasing other, more achievable parts of Neom instead. But launching all of these projects at once risks overwhelming even Saudi Arabia's immense resources. Billions of dollars are not just committed to the line, but airports, factories, and entertainment complexes, all designed to project an image of unstoppable progress. For Mohammed bin Salman, it reflects his style of leadership. restless, ambitious, and unwilling to accept limits. And he has staked his personal reputation on this success. For him, Vision 2030 is not just an economic plan, but a political survival strategy. The prince is young, and this leadership could shape Saudi Arabia for decades. If oil revenues fall and these projects fail to deliver, the country could face economic instability. But if they succeed, they could cement Saudi Arabia as a global power not just in energy, but in technology, tourism, and culture. This is why the line is pursued so relentlessly. It's more than just a city, it's a statement that Saudi Arabia will not be defined by desert or oil. Whether that ambition builds a new future or collapses into unfinished concrete is the question that still hangs over Vision 2030 to this day. By 2025, determination is visible everywhere on the ground and from satellite imagery. But momentum alone does not guarantee success. Can Saudi Arabia continue to pour billions of dollars into this project for decades to come? Will the engineering hurdles ever truly be overcome? And if they are, will people actually want to live in a mirrored desert wall? These questions make the line more than just an experiment. It's a global case study in ambition versus reality. History offers lessons. In China, entire ghost cities sit half empty after construction outpaced demand. In Dubai, ambitious megaprojects like artificial islands remain unfinished. These examples show how dreams can fizzle out, leaving only concrete shells. But history also offers hope. The Burj Khalifa was once visioned to be an impossible vanity project, but today it defines Dubai's skyline. The Panama Canal was also dismissed as a fantasy until it reshaped global trade. Ambitious projects sometimes do succeed, against all odds. The line could fall into either category. By 2025, the line is no longer the dream that was originally promised. It is something else entirely. A scaled-down pilot city struggling to prove itself in the Saudi Arabian desert. Billions of dollars are already buried in the sand, and what happens next will decide whether this project becomes the blueprint for the future or the most expensive failure in human history. Even now, Saudi Arabia insists that the long-term plan remains intact, but the timeline has clearly shifted, and the ambition, at least for now, has been dramatically reduced. But all of this raises a larger question. Even if the line were completed in full, who would actually live here? Could millions of people really thrive in a city without streets or outdoor space? Can a project this centralized, this engineered, actually function as a livable space? The line raises more questions than answers. But with construction progressing rapidly in 2025, Saudi Arabia is trying to project an image of strength, just as many continue to dismiss the project entirely.